Hi, so today I'd like to talk about YouTube and why it is that there are no alternatives to YouTube. This is not something that I really felt like discussing in depth, but there's actually a business lesson to be learned here. Since there is a business lesson to be learned here, I think it's very relevant to what I regularly speak about on this channel. So, a lot of people ask, why is there no alternative to YouTube? Why has nobody made an alternative to YouTube? And sometimes when people talk about this, they'll speak condescendingly of other companies that say they're going to make an alternative to YouTube, but then don't, or say they really could have marketed an alternative to YouTube, but they never bothered going ahead with it. And people will make these sweeping generalizations about how that's the wrong thing for the other company to do, without really thinking about what goes into making this type of platform. So I'd like to share with you a short anecdote regarding one of my backups and how I got my information back from Google. And I'd like to ask you if you think this is something that you would want to do if you were a company with billions of dollars. Tell me if this is something that makes business sense to you. So, I had an issue with one of my backups. Now, I go into Google Archives and I figure out that I can actually re-download original copies of every video that I uploaded. So, ever since I started this video series and started getting more serious about it, in the middle of 2014, what I do is I record almost losslessly, or sometimes I do record losslessly. I edit losslessly, and then I encode my video using 2-pass X264 to a 20 gigabyte file, which is the upper limit of what YouTube will allow. I do that because I want YouTube to be whatever YouTube is going to do, however they're going to destroy everything when they re-encode it. I want them to do that to a file that is as high quality as possible, because I know their encoding routines are probably going to destroy what I upload, but at the very least, destroy a good video instead of destroying some shitty 500 megabyte upload. So I upload a file that's fairly large, and they saved all of those files. So what happened when I logged in and I checked the Google Archive is that they actually saved every single video that I've ever uploaded back to the test videos I uploaded in 2011. So that's 5 years of video that Google saved, and none of it is truncated. Every single byte. This, like, for the few videos that I had that were backed up perfectly, like the CRC checksum was the same on what I downloaded from Google as the file that I had here. That's just nuts. And the reason that I think this is nuts is because I was able to download these videos with a 200 megabit per second internet connection. I was able to, at all times, fully utilize the 200 megabit per second internet connection, and they stored every single video, the original copy. So when you go back, I have about 7 or 8 terabytes of video right now. Before monetization was turned on, I had maybe 4 to 5 terabytes uploaded. So YouTube had 4 to 5 terabytes of my video. Google had 4 to 5 terabytes of files stored for me before I was paying them. So right now, I have monetization turned on. So the argument could be made that, well, Google makes money off of me, so it makes sense that they store my content and offer me these features. But from 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, Google made nothing off of me and my content. There were no ads in my content. There were no in-stream ads. There were no little banners appearing in the videos. So there was no way for Google to monetize the fact that they were storing 5 terabytes of my stuff on a gigabit internet connection. That's insane. And that's just for me to be able to download it. That doesn't count the hundreds of thousands of millions of views that this stuff had. Even if all this content is being streamed out at 144p, that's still bandwidth that was being offered to me for free. So my question to you as a business owner, the question that I was created in my mind from this experience is, are you willing to give somebody who's not paying you money, who's not making you money, 5 terabytes of free cloud storage accessible from a gigabit pipe with no limits on bandwidth, where you're offering them unlimited, and I use the term, quotes for unlimited because there's no such thing as real unlimited, but unmetered bandwidth where they can use as much as they want without any routines in place to keep them from abusing it. Would you offer that for free? Would you offer that for free for years? Your answer is probably no. And if your answer is no, then you should understand right now why all these other companies have not invested into creating a YouTube competitor. Because for all the complaints about YouTube, for all the people saying that YouTube should do this, YouTube should treat me better, YouTube should give me a representative, YouTube should have a number I could call, YouTube should encode my videos faster, YouTube shouldn't have errors in the comment stream, YouTube should do this, that, and the other, what you don't understand is that They're not even profitable. This to Google, YouTube is a charity, and it's in the news. YouTube has yet to make a profit for Google. Google has owned YouTube for something about, I'd say, 9 to 10 years now. I forget. I looked it up before I did the video, and I already forgot. It's about 9 to 10 years. A multi-billion-dollar organization that specializes in internet tech stuff has not figured out how to make YouTube profitable. So if a multi-billion-dollar organization with great engineers, with great marketers, with great programmers has not figured out how to make this company profitable, how to make online video platforms like YouTube profitable, what chance do you stand to do the same thing? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but when you see what YouTube is offering, my first question is, how the fuck do they make money doing this? And then what I find when I do the research is, they're not making money doing this. Maybe that's why other people aren't doing it. So I'll have complaints about YouTube. There are certain things I don't like about YouTube, but I don't feel entitled to have a perfectly working comment stream. I don't feel entitled to higher quality video encodes. I don't feel entitled to a representative. I don't feel entitled to a lot of the things that a lot of people will talk about that they should have because they make YouTube money, because the money that you're making YouTube is not even enough to make YouTube profitable. YouTube in and of itself right now operates like a charity. What they give away is ridiculous. You're not going to find another company on the way. Delete that. You're not going to find another company in this world right now that's willing to give you 6 terabytes of free cloud storage on a gigabit pipe that you can access whenever you want without limiting you. That doesn't exist. That exists on YouTube with the Google Archives program, but that does not exist anywhere else. And that's insane. That is absolutely insane. And the lesson to be learned in business here is that a lot of people will say, why is nobody competing with them? Should I get into this business? They look like they're doing well. And the reality is that when you see somebody who you perceive to be doing well, they may be doing well for different reasons. Maybe the business that you perceive to be doing well is just a division of a larger company. And that one division in and of itself is not profitable, but the other divisions of that company are profitable and are picking up the slack for the one division that's not. This is a mistake that I made a long time ago. When I opened that Rossmann supply business, I thought that this was a good business to be in. I saw a lot of companies that existed, and what I didn't think to myself was, are they actually making money? That's the question that I never asked myself. Are they successful because they put millions and millions of dollars in, and now they're making $800 a week off of it? Because to me, that's not like having a very, very, very small, decimal point percentage of net profit is not successful. And I see a lot of parts companies open and close and open and close and open and close. And the reason that's happening is because it's really difficult to be profitable unless you're running a business that is not really above board. There are a lot of companies that I had complaints about, and those companies were wildly profitable. And the reason they were wildly profitable was because they used the worst parts, because they used the shittiest shipping methods, because they treated people like shit, because they sold stuff that I wouldn't give my cat for free if my cat had an iPhone 4. I mean, that's the reason that they were successful. Is that what I want to do to be successful? No. So, when I saw that there's a $33 part and they're selling it for $37.99, I would think to myself, well, they're finding a way to do it. Must be something I'm doing wrong. Must be something I'm doing wrong. Must be something I'm doing wrong. And the reality is a lot of the companies that I thought were successful doing this were not actually successful doing this. They were churning old money, or they were just finding ways to scam vendors. They were finding ways to scam customers, and it wasn't a profitable thing to be doing. So if I had thought to myself, instead of, hey, they look successful, let's try to do the same thing. If I were thinking to myself, hey, they're successful, but wait a second. Look at the numbers. How the hell do they afford that? I might have kept myself from making a bunch of bad decisions. And that's what I want you to be thinking about. So there are these stories online, and to be honest with you, I don't get deep involved in Amazon's finances, so you should do your own independent research here. But there are people online saying that Amazon has yet to pay back a lot of the original investors all the money that was put in. So when I see things like free shipping, there are a lot of people that say you should offer better shipping, you should offer faster shipping, or free 2-day shipping, and all this, that, and the other. I look at these and I look at it, and I'll take your suggestion into account, and I'll say, wow, look, $1 million company is doing it. They must be profitable, right? But then I'll actually do the research and realize, wait a second. Okay, let's look at the initial investment. Let's look at how this all worked out. So a lot of people made a lot of money off of this, but the original investors have not yet been paid back. Do I really want to take advice or copy the business model of a company that 15, 16, 17 years in has yet to pay back the original investors? Not really. The same thing holds true with Groupon. So there are a lot of successful businesses that are running Groupons, and Groupon themselves appears to, the owner of Groupon sure got away with a lot of money, but Groupon itself, I look at it, and the first thing that people who used to be buying parts from me back in 2012 and 2013 would say is, wow, look at these successful businesses running Groupons. I should run it too. And I would talk to them and I would ask them questions about it. And I go, okay, so what are the details? And they go, well, you cut your prices in half. So I charge 50% of my regular price. Of that 50% discounted price, 50% of the money I get goes to Groupon. So I'll go, wait a second. So your gross is 25% of what it usually is for that repair. And the repair costs the same amount of money. And they go, yes. And I go, and you're doing this? And they go, yes. And I go, you're insane. And they go, oh, but Louis, look at this company did it, and that company did it, and that company did it, and they're all successful. And those companies were successful. They were successful up until the point that they did the Groupon, at which point they realized they were losing a ton of money, so they stopped doing the Groupon. Groupon itself is a business that at that time was losing a lot of money every year. And those companies that I was talking to that were running the Groupon, they're no longer in business. They told me there's no money to be made in doing this, and the reason there's no money to be made in doing this is because they were following ideas that they perceived to be successful without doing the research necessary to realize that they were not. Just because you see that Google for 10 years has owned what appears to be a successful online video platform does not necessarily mean that it is successful. What are your metrics for successful? If your metric for successful is a platform that has great uptime, that has great, what's the word I'm looking for when a lot of people know great brand recognition. I'm sure there's probably a more accurate term there. Great brand recognition where a lot of people know what it is, where it has a lot of people using it. You have a lot of people on the platform, where it's relatively stable. And I would say that YouTube is successful. But if you want to gauge whether or not YouTube is successful on the metric of does it make money, well, what's your definition of successful? Because in there, YouTube is not successful. So if I'm Yahoo, if I'm Microsoft, if I'm Oracle, and I'm thinking to myself, should I start an online video platform? Let's start it. I may do my market research, and I may say, one of the largest competent tech companies in the world is not able to make this profitable. Yeah, about that. That's what I might do. I'm not going to just jump head first in. I'm not 21 anymore. I'm not going to jump head first into ideas that are not profitable. Now, if I see that somebody else is making a killing doing something, then I may jump in. If I see that somebody's making hundreds of thousands or hundreds of millions of dollars in net profit on an idea, I may jump in head first. But if I see that their net profit is going down, if I see that they've never made a net profit in their existence, if I see that the original investors have never been paid off from the idea, do you think I'm going to get into that field? No. And again, I ask you, if you ran a hosting company, if you ran any type of cloud services company, would you offer unlimited cloud storage to users on a gigabit pipe without forcing them to ever pay you, without forcing them to monetize their content? Like, no, I wouldn't. Even if I were a multi-billionaire running that type of company, I would say, great, you want to host stuff here? That's fine. You have to allow us to turn ads on. I'm not going to let people host videos for free, not pay me, and not allow us to put ads in them. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand why Google even allows that. If I ran YouTube, I would run it to where you either pay a monthly fee to upload shit, or you have to allow ads on if you have more than, let's say, 5 gigabytes on our platform. So if you put 5 gigabytes of stuff on our platform, and you are using more than X amount of bandwidth per month, then you have to either pay us or you have to allow us to put ads in the video. maybe 5 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes, 30 gig, whatever you think the number should be. I think it should be lower than 6 or 7 terabytes. I don't think somebody should be allowed, to host 6 to 7 terabytes in 2016 on a gigabit pipe without having to pay for it in some way. But Google does that. And when you look at these services, when you look at just how much you get from them, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about who's paying for it or who's not paying for it before you say that other companies should go ahead and do that. Yahoo probably doesn't want to compete with a service that gives its users 5 to 7 terabytes of free cloud storage on a gigabit pipe. And I totally understand why Yahoo doesn't want to do that. Microsoft may not want to do that. And a lot of these companies that say maybe we're going to get into an online video platform, they may wind up not doing it because they realize that it's not profitable. So there are a lot of things that I think YouTube could do better. There are a lot of things I want changed about YouTube. There are a lot of things I don't like about YouTube. But the reason you don't see me bitching about it constantly is because I understand that YouTube in and of itself is a charity. They are a for-profit company. They are a company that tries to make money. But when you look at what YouTube offers and then what YouTube asks back of its people, you realize that this is kind of run like a charity. There's no company in the world that's going to give me the amount of free cloud storage that YouTube gives me. It doesn't exist. And I know that's not what people use it for. I know that people are not logging into YouTube because they just want a place to store 6 or 7 terabytes of files. But it can technically be used in that way. And that is something that does cost Google money. It does cost them money to have a server. It does cost them money to have a SAN with that much space. And this is not just regular storage. This is at Google, so you bet your ass this is redundant storage. And it does cost them money when I decide that I want to re-download my 7 terabyte collection of videos at 200 megabit per second. And that is available whether or not I choose to monetize my content. So I'll talk about why I won't use YouTube for a living. I've talked about why I'm not going to use YouTube for a living, but I'm not going to ask YouTube to change in order to allow me to consider using them for a living, because I understand that YouTube themselves are not making a living off of what they're doing. Like Google is not making money off of YouTube. There are people at YouTube that have jobs, that go home, that make money, but at the end of the day, that entire thing is kind of like a house of cards that it's going to fall down the moment Google decides, hey, we're tired of not making money off of this. Since we're tired of not making money off of this, we don't want to have it anymore. I understand that. And it's something that you should understand if you're looking to open a new business. Don't think to yourself, just because you see that somebody's driving a nice car and because they have a nice store and because it seems like they're successful, don't assume that they are actually successful. Don't assume that you can succeed in that business just because you perceive somebody else succeeding in that business. Because it very well may be the case. The person that you perceive as being successful at something is not successful at all by the metrics that really matter. One of the metrics that really matters that I don't see being discussed in 2016 is net profit. We all focus on, look at how many users they have. Look at the infrastructure that they've built. Look at the gross revenue. Look at how much revenue they made. Revenue means jack shit. Net profit is what I care about. Do I actually get to keep any of the money that I made? That's what matters. And when it comes to YouTube, they don't get to keep a lot of the money that they make. And maybe, just maybe, all these other companies that are looking at it, they're not stupid, they're not lazy, they're not dumb. Maybe they look at it and they realize if a multi-billion-dollar tech company can't make this work after 10 years of trying, then maybe we should focus our efforts elsewhere. And I don't blame them.